Feel the power of your determination taking control of your breathing. Feel the power of your presence, your gift right now in this moment. Now think about you doing your best today on all the exercises we do together. Gym of life. See, we are so powerful, we get to think, create, imagine in our minds, and make real in the world. And that goes with everything. The way we do our exercises, to the best of our ability, is the same way we can do anything to the best of our ability.
Rockets in the house tonight. Everybody just have a good time. And we gon' make you lose your mind. Everybody just have a good time. Party rockets in the house tonight. Everybody just have a good time. And we gon' make you lose your mind. We just wanna see you shake that. She on my jock, non-stop when we in the spot. Booty moving weight like she on the block. With a drink, I got to know. Top jeans tattoo, cause I'm rock. Half black, half white, diamond now. Gang of money, Open up. Yeah, I'm running through these halls like Drano. I got that devilish flow, rock and roll, no halo. We party rock. Yeah, that's the crew that I'm repping on a rise to the top. No lead in our Zeppelin. Hey, party rock is in the house tonight. Woo! Everybody just have a good time. Yeah, and we gon' make you lose your mind. Everybody just have a good time. Let's go. Party rock is in the house tonight. Everybody just have a good time. And we gon' make you lose your mind. We just wanna see you
shake that.
Ataca Argentina, va por otro, va por otro, va por otro y está.
Morning, guys. Today we're introduced to Conor McGregor, and he introduces us to the idea of having the courage to speak up. So let's try that today in our day. Let's start speaking up for what we really believe in, what we really want out of life. And he goes on to give us his experience and says that in his life, as he has spoken up, as he's become more vocal about what he really feels he loves doing and believes in, the law of attraction has worked for him. He has become that magnet of everything he's ever wanted in his life. And Conor McGregor's record speaks for himself. You can look him up and his record in MMA history. But how can we apply this to our life? How can we be more vocal with being courageous to speak our truth, what we love, what we're looking for, perhaps just being the best human being we can be? Let's do that today. Have a great morning, everyone.
Hey everybody, it's Brendan. Have you ever heard that advice to take risks, but you felt like, well, I don't want to take risks. No one likes risk, right? No one wants to say when they wake up in the morning, I'm going to take tons of risks today. Usually risk brings about fear. We're worried that if we take a risk, we'll fail, other people will judge us, we'll look stupid, we'll feel uncertain or unsure of ourselves, and nobody likes those feelings or those outcomes. So as much as people say take risks, it's easy for us to say, nah, I'm not into that. But we also know intellectually that we can't grow unless we take more risks. That your next level of success, that leap from this level to that level, there's gonna be risk there. You know, it's from here to there, and there's that gap in between. You don't know as you take that leap if you're gonna do well. That's the risk. You might fall, you might fail, you might not do well. But if you're not making those leaps and taking those steps, you'll always be stuck where you were yesterday. And to grow, we've got to have a lot of courage to jump into those risks. So let me give you maybe a framework for how to think about taking risks. You know, I always think about 3 ways to think about taking risks so that I'm continually pushing and growing myself. So the first thing I think about when I look at my career or I look at my life, the first risk I want to take is I want to make whatever I'm doing harder. I know that sounds weird, but I'm like, how could I make my job more difficult? Because in taking that risk to make it more difficult, I'll grow. I'll give you guys an example. Last weekend, I had the blessing to keynote a conference in New Orleans. Some of you all were there. It was at the Superdome in New Orleans, which holds like 100,000 people, but they kind of spliced it in half with a curtain, and they had 20, 30,000 people in the audience. This was for the Beachbody Convention, and it was a blast. Now, I could get up and talk to 20,000 people pretty regularly in my life. I'm doing it again next weekend. It's what I do as a motivational speaker, right? I'm used to doing that. But I could just go on stage, do my thing, and get off, and that wouldn't be serving the audience as much. And so I asked myself, how can I make this presentation even harder on me so that I can grow? So I text 2 of my friends who happen to be in that organization, Tony Horton. Many of you guys know he is kind of the founder and trainer for P90X, and Chalene Johnson, who does PIO. And I texted them both. I said, what's your hardest exercise move that people usually can't get? Because both those people are going to be at the conference, and this was a lot of their super fans. So I was like, let's go. So Tony told me, he's like, the donkey kick is the hardest one. The donkey kick is basically, you do a handstand, you kick your legs out, you land back plank position, you run your leg through like threading the needle in yoga, and then you return and you do a burpee, okay? And Shalene said, well, the hardest one is like, what she calls the plyo flip, which is like, imagine doing a bridge, right? But then going to kind of one arm, and kind of like you're doing a bridge this way and one arm goes that way. I mean, it's not easy. So I decided in front of 20,000 people to do those two moves back to back in a suit. So imagine doing a handstand in a suit, kicking your legs out, threading the needle, then flipping over, doing a full extended bridge. Not easy, but I did it because it would be hard. Does that make sense? Part of the reason I got better as a speaker is because I was pushing myself. I mean, I used to be, it's very comforting and easy to give a big speech and, have a transcript or all these notes to read from. But I said, one day, I'm going to be able to get up on stage and give a speech with no notes whatsoever. Now, that's hard. That's not comforting. It's not easy. But it's by putting challenges in front of ourselves that we grow. And that's part of taking risks. I always say it to people, look, if the only challenges you're dealing with in life right now are the ones that life dealt you, then you're not living a fully conscious life yet. And what I mean by that is you're living a life of reaction. If you're not moving if you're not moving towards harder and more difficult goals, if you're not giving yourself challenges, if you're not taking risks consciously, then you're just reacting to the world. You're not growing. And so challenge yourself. The next time you're going to go do something, your art, your career, put yourself out there, try something, make that sales call. How could you challenge yourself to make that process even harder so you get better? Obviously, you need to do that in the gym too, right? I mean, part of growing a muscle is stretching it and making it harder, making it difficult, pushing it beyond its current capabilities. That's how you grow muscle. Same thing, that's how you grow in life. The second big thing I think about is how do I do what I'm doing and take a risk by being different, right? So think about what I've shared so far. The first way to take a risk is to make your process harder so that you grow and stretch. The second way is to do something very different. I mean, maybe you're already good at something, but now you're going to completely switch up how you're doing it. Right now, many of you know, I have a podcast. I'm about to change that podcast from something that's been very successful. We had top 10 for over 100 weeks in my category. We're completely changing that up. So for those who listen to the Charged Life, that's going to be switching up this weekend to the Brendan Show. And it's completely different. It's a new format. We don't need to do it. The old way worked fine. But part of taking risks is making yourself evolve, not being the latecomer to evolution, right? So think about how can you do something different. I'll give you an example. When we first started my YouTube channel back in 2014, when we really started doing weekly YouTube videos, Travis had this great idea. He said, you know what if we did our videos in black and white? And back then, nobody was doing videos in black and white on a weekly basis as part of a show, certainly not in personal development. So we did it. It was completely different. It was a risk for us. I mean, would it work going from color to black and white in the modern era? It did. And some of those videos took off. I mean, million views, 2 million views. Now some of them entering their 3 millionth view. That happened because we decided to take a risk and be different. So how can you be different in your category, in your career, in your field of interest, whatever you're doing? How can you purposefully choose to evolve and do something different? Because that's a risk. And sure, not all risks are rewarded, but I'll tell you what's never rewarded: stagnation. And then the last one, part of taking a risk is being more personal. Teaching yourself to share more, to be more vulnerable. It's hard, I get it. I'm in front of a camera, in front of stage all of my life. I shouldn't say my adult life. I mean, over the last 10 years of my life, it's been a very public journey for me. You see, if you're on with us on Facebook, we have 5 million fans on this Facebook page alone. Doesn't count our other Facebook pages. We've just started and we're growing our Instagram channel. Hey guys on Instagram. I mean, this has been a journey for me of being in front of the public eye. But even me, for my next level, I'm going to have to share more about my personal life, be more thoughtful about that. And that takes a lot of vulnerability. It doesn't scare me, I just know I need to do it. And I'll give you an example. When I first started my career in personal and professional development, because if you ask me, Brendan, what do you do? I would say, well, I'm a writer first, and I'm a trainer second. I've been blessed to train more people on the topic of motivation to high performance than anybody else in the world now. Our videos have been viewed over 100 million times, over 10 million fans across our Facebook pages. I've been blessed to reach a lot of people. But I can share with you, when I began my career, I thought I had to be Mr. Buttoned Up, so proper. And because I came from the consulting world, if you ever had a real job in organizational America and then you start doing this, it's hard not to be stiff, and not share as much. But I remember the first time I ever shared with my audience back then, I shared with them about how when I started my career, I went broke. And I mean bankrupt broke. And I was in bankruptcy and I was struggling to start my career, do my own seminars. I had no idea what I was doing. People were making fun of me. I'm sure people are making fun of me right now on this live cast. You get used to that part. But it was new and it was scary. And I'll never forget though, that after I shared that, so many people would come up to me and like, I've struggled with that too. I've been bankrupt, or I came from poverty and I worked hard and I made it too. And people would share their stories with me, and it was really inspiring, and it taught me that, people won't believe your successes if they don't believe the struggle. You got to share where you've struggled more in life, and that feels like a risk. But, you got to be honest. Does your family and your friends and the people you serve, do they know what you really think, what you really feel, what you really desire in life, what you're really going after, what you need? Because if they don't know that about you, that's not taking risks. Look, being quiet and avoiding difficult conversation is not taking risks, and it's not the path to growth. The path to growth for so many of us is another level of personal authenticity, another level of personal sharing. And if you don't do that, then you're not risking, you're just going through the motions. So I would say that today, when you're thinking about the next level of growth for yourself, think about risk. When you think about risk, think about it in these 3 ways, okay? Number 1, think about how can I make my process even more difficult? How can I take on a challenge that's hard for me, that would push me outside of my comfort zone? Number 2, how can I do something different? I mean, even though I don't need to do something different, like really switch things up. And then number 3, do something more personal, share something more personal, and watch how those risks start rewarding your life. Look, we can all go from, an average person to an achiever, and we can all go from an achiever to a high performer, but it's gonna take some new habits for you to get there. And I hope that this conversation about taking risks inspired you to think about just that.
Alright, make way when you see me pass through, and they come with me too. You don't know what to do. Drinks up, hands up, everything in the air. Everybody done young, there's a party over here. That's right, we drink just
just bubbling. Champagne bottle just popping. We going on, I guess tonight we not stopping. Let's party hard tonight. So going non-stop until the sunlight. We going non-stop until the sunlight. The club done full, only woman inside. It's a good night to get we head tight. It's a good night to get we head tight. Couple up this party going for a fine. Bring drinks, we don't care, we go down.
Good movement here from Iniesta. Messi. Oh, through the gap. Lionel Messi! It's another fantastic goal!
Good afternoon, guys. How's it going so far? Have you had an opportunity to speak up and show courage about how you really feel or how you could possibly help someone else? If you haven't, the day's not over. You know what I'm going to say. It's belief and determination in yourself. So believe that you can speak courageously about how you're feeling. And then show that spirit of never giving up and go back at it again. See if you can find that opportunity where you know you could have spoken a truth that would have helped the situation, and maybe go back at it again. If not, think about a future opportunity. Think about how you will feel, how good it will feel when you're able to speak courageously about how you feel. And remember, everyone deserves the truth of how you feel because that is real. And that's what everybody wants from you, as hard as it may be. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
When your why is strong enough, whatever comes against you will never be great enough, right? When your why is strong enough, when it's great enough, whatever comes against you will never be strong enough. If your why is, I want just a lot of followers, what's gonna happen when that doesn't happen? People don't realize that. It's gonna take years. I see a lot of content creators, they're that. They will plant a seed today, say, okay, I wanna start a YouTube channel. I wanna start a podcast. I wanna be a speaker. But then when the things don't show up that they are inspired by because they see somebody else's life, I want that because of that. That's what I call influence purpose, which is nothing wrong because maybe there's something inside of you that truly is meant for you to be that. But when it's a real purpose and a true purpose and it's really inside you, the meaning is different. My meaning was a promise to my friend that died. So yeah, when the followers didn't show up, I still showed up. When the views didn't show up, I still showed up. When I did events and 5 people showed up, I still showed up because it was different for me.
It's great to see everybody again. I have a very special guest for you today. This man, I've known this man for a bunch of years. He's one of the really good guys in our industry of thought leadership and trying to get a message out to the world. He went from being an NFL player to hanging up the cleats and then becoming a motivational speaker, an inspirer, Instagrammer, a YouTuber. We might talk a little bit about that. We'll see where it goes. And an author of a new book called Protect Your Peace. Trent Shelton, welcome aboard, man.
Evan, man, what up, brother? Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for being on. So this group is called Movement Makers. Everybody here is a thought leader trying to get their message out to the world. They're entrepreneurs. They'd love to do some of the stuff that you're doing, speaking on stages, building millions of followers, writing books, all that stuff. I'm going to ask you some questions for the first half hour or so, and then we'll bring some people up to have their questions asked, and we'll do a little coaching and see where it goes.
Let's do it.
I love it. So let's start with this. I'm curious, the transition from being an NFL player to then saying, I want to get my message out to the world. I have something to share. A lot of the people who come from that background, that's it. They then just sign autographs for the rest of their lives. They go take on some job or start a car wash or something. Like you decided, no, I want to spread my message. Talk me through your mindset of leaving NFL and then becoming somebody who wants to spread a message.
Yeah, so it's a great question. Leaving the NFL, I didn't want to leave. You know, it was one of those expiration dates that came unexpected. But one thing I would tell you, Evan, that I had was a healthy fear, as I call it, a healthy fear that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life telling about my NFL stories. I didn't want to be the guy, and nothing wrong with that, by the way, but I didn't want to be the guy because my career wasn't that good anyway. So I didn't want to be the guy that was telling my grandkids or my great grandkids, predicting long life, that, this was it. Like, I was just an NFL player. And so I didn't want to be stuck in that. And plus, I saw so many former players or athletes in general, like, lose themselves after they lost the sport, even guys who were wildly successful in the sport. So I said, man, I don't want to do that. And, a situation happened with my best friend, my college roommate, teammate, committed suicide, that made it really real for me. And so that was the healthy fear was one thing, but seeing my closest friend in the casket and he committed suicide because he lost some things, he lost sports, he lost a relationship. And I said, man, like, I want to make sure that, because I had a guilt that I wasn't there for him. I think if you ever been through that situation, you're always going to feel some type of guilt. And so my commitment to him was, man, I want to make sure that I heal first. And I want to make sure that through my healing and through my journey, that other people find healing and find themselves. And I started recording videos. Like, I didn't have any idea to be who I am today. I didn't want to be a speaker, nor did I think I was a speaker. I didn't want to be a content creator. It was literally my therapy. So I say, I'm going to share what I'm going through. And that was the start of this journey, man.
When did it turn into something?
I would say, I'll give you the exact year. It was 2013, maybe 2012, but 2013. And I was still trying to play arena football at that time. So arena football, like, if you ever seen it, it's in the arena, like, it's the worst. I'm not gonna say it's the worst form of football, but coming from the NFL is like, it's terrible. And I was depressed at the time. I didn't want to be there, but I didn't know what else to do. I just started making videos, but it wasn't like a real thing for me. It was just a therapy thing, but I still wanted to play ball. And I played 1 year, a half a year in arena, and I got signed to this UFL team, which was like the minor league of the NFL at that time, and it ended up folding. The business crash, right? So boom. So I went back to arena football. I was supposed to go to the New Orleans Voodoo, and it's funny because that's where I was actually raised in New Orleans. And my mom was telling me, like, I don't want you to go down there. I just know the city. I don't want you to go down there. And nothing against New Orleans, but at that time it was a pretty rough city. And it was something in my soul, man, that was like, there's something more to my life. And I couldn't figure it out. Make a long story short, one of my closest friends played with me at Baylor, played with me at the Redskins for a little bit. He invited me to speak at a youth conference. And as a communicator, I always tell communicators, if you want to learn how to speak, go speak in front of youth, because people sometimes speak, I don't want to speak in front of you. It's the hardest audience because they're going to let you know how you feel, how they feel. They're going to let you know if you're interested or not. They're going to be usually tapped out. They're the hardest audience to reach. And I think if you remember being a teenager, you remember you in those seats. And so I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And I was trying to talk my way out of it. And he said, Trent, I'll never forget this. He said, Trent, I see something you don't see in yourself. And this guy, Jonathan Evans, his dad is Dr. Tony Evans. So you might know him, one of the biggest pastors in the world. His sisters and brothers, their whole family are great communicators. He said, you have something in you, even though you don't talk much, but when you talk, you make your words count. I went to that speaking engagement. It was a 5-minute speaking engagement, Evan. And when you're first starting out, 5 minutes seemed like 50 minutes. I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I literally prepared the whole night before. And I'm like, okay, cool. I have my speaking points. It's kids. I'm just going to talk about football, talk about, it was in church, talk about God, relay it together. I'm going to get off the stage. I walk on stage, get in front of the mic, and I do just like this. Like, I go blank. I'm like, gosh. And all I see is 2,000 kids just giving me the death stare. And in that moment, I say, you know what? God used me. In that moment, I say, you know what? I'm just going to come from the realest place. So when people now see my speaking style, it came from that moment. And I got off stage, and one of my closest friends, he said, man, he's like, this is it. He said, I've never seen an audience in this church be that locked in from those kids. And immediately I called my coach in New Orleans. I said, I'm not coming. He hung up the phone in my face. I called my friends. Some of them understood, most of them didn't. I called my mom and my mom, and she kind of gave me the permission to follow through on this thing that wasn't even a thing. And literally when I made that decision, within 3 months, the videos on Facebook I started to create, 3 or 4 months, they started to go viral, or at least what I thought was viral at that time. and it changed my life forever. So 2013, because of that moment, making that decision to no longer hang on to what was familiar with me, to walk into the unknown, it changed my life forever.
If you guys haven't seen Trent speak, it's definitely worth a watch. Go check out his YouTube channel, see some of his keynotes. He's not the guy who's going to stand up with a PowerPoint and just read, just read all the text on the slides. This man is pure fire and pure soul, and it's never the same speech twice. And so we haven't had the pleasure of seeing him speak yet. It's definitely worth checking out. You mentioned you use the videos as therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time when people think of therapy, they think of the exact opposite thing, right? It's like private with one person that you're talking to. And you're like, I'm just going to put all this out into public. It's kind of the exact opposite of what most people think of therapy. So how did you get over what would people think or judge you for, or you're not perfect and here you are struggling? Like most people don't want to go and share that stuff. They want to be the perfect person. So how did you overcome that?
This is what you got to realize. People are judging you anyway. People are judging regardless. No matter how perfect you are, they're judging you for being too perfect. They're judging you because you don't match up to their perception. They're judging you for not doing enough. They're judging you for doing too much. And I realized that in my life. I said, people are going to judge me regardless. I might as well be my true, authentic self. And those that love me for me, great. Those that don't like me for me, great. But I refuse to be something or someone that people celebrate that I hate. And I think in the world of social media, we have a lot of that. So for me, with the therapy part, I realize this truth, Evan. What you don't release will increase, right? And a lot of us, if we're being honest, we all have silent battles, some very micro, some huge, and we keep these battles inside of us. And so that war inside of me was getting too much. And so I'm an artist. So before I got into speaking, I was a rapper. And I love to write and I love music. And that was my form of expression. So if you ever watch my videos of me doing spoken word, or I just posted one today, a letter to my mother, that was my way of releasing things into the world. And what I realized through releasing, it was impacting other people. People could relate to that. And so once I got that feedback from that one person that said, Trent, I needed that. And I'm like, man, this is my most vulnerable, imperfect moment. And so I realized looking back that this is my belief. We weren't created to be perfect. We were created to be real, because people need your real story. They need your real message, because that's what we connect to. Perfection is inspiring. So we can see somebody who posts the car and I can show you my house and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I want that. It's so inspiring. Or you might hate it. Perfection is inspiring. But to me, that's the lowest form of inspiration, is showing people perfection, right? Because it inspires them, but it doesn't transform them. We're transformed through things that we relate to. We relate to hard times. We relate to good times. We relate to the ups and downs. And so once I realized that, and I said, oh, people can relate to the real me, it made it easy, because I know, and this is true for everybody watching this right now, I know can't nobody beat me at being me. I am great at being Trent Shelton. I am terrible at being somebody else, because I've tried it before in my journey, growing up, trying to be this and trying to be that. And it's the same with you. Nobody can beat you at being you. And it makes it easier to show up when I don't have to come on camera and be like, okay, let me turn on the switch. When I get on stage, let me turn on the switch. There's no switch to turn on. It's just me. And I think that belief in yourself and confidence connects with other people's hearts, and people can relate.
I didn't know the
cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo para dar la alegría cosa buena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, Macarena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo para dar la alegría cosa buena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, Macarena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo para dar la alegría cosa buena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, Macarena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo para dar la alegría cosa buena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, Macarena.
Messi. Iniesta, it's brilliant play. Oh, he's so unlucky, but Messi's there.
Good evening, guys. How did it go today? Were you able to have at least one opportunity where you were able to speak up and share what you really love or what you're really passionate about or how you're really feeling? Well, if you did, great. If you didn't, that's okay too. Just the fact that you are thinking about it and aware of how important it is to speak up courageously is already a step in the right direction. And I just want to share with you in my life how liberating it has been for me to really pursue the things that I love and to be truthful about that with the people around me. It's so important yet so difficult because for many times we fear the consequences. We fear the losses, how we're going to make people feel. But in the end, we're all made of truth principles and we all deserve that. And I can tell you how great it feels when you have those difficult conversations. I hope this helps you. Have a great evening, everyone.
Have you ever struggled to be more disciplined? You know you got that paper due next week, but you don't do anything all week, even though you know it's coming? Or you set up a brand new habit that you're so excited about that you know can improve your life, your relationships, or your work, but you don't stick to it? Or you started that workout routine and you got really pumped up, fired up into it. You lost a couple pounds, but then 3 weeks later it was gone. And what did you blame? You blamed your discipline. You said, I wish I was more disciplined and everything would be great. The reality is it's true. Discipline is one of the most important things we can develop in our lives because without that ability to be sort of self-reliant and willful to get things done on a continual basis, we never get that great amount of momentum and progress towards what we really want. And I bet there's a lot of areas of your life that could really benefit from being more disciplined, whether you're eating healthier or working out more often, or being more disciplined about doing your art on a consistent basis, or contributing, or even being more disciplined about just speaking up for yourself when you know that you should.
Need motivation? Watch the top 10 of Believe Nation because I love it.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because as a young entrepreneur, I struggled to keep my business going. I had no friends, I had no mentors, I had no role models. And the thing that saved me was learning from the success stories of famous entrepreneurs. And in their stories, I got motivation, and I also got strategies for what I could do to grow my business and not stay stuck. And I still need their stories for motivation today. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Brendon Burchard, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy.
Now, I'm going to assume a little bit that because it's going to be a short video, I want to make sure that you have something in mind that you want to be more disciplined to. So think about a major dream or a major ambition that for some reason you're like, gosh, I wish I really stuck with my sort of actions and routines more often. If you can have that in mind, then this is going to really serve you. I have 4 ideas for you today. The first idea is to emotionally engage with that dream each morning of your life. See, a lot of people don't actually struggle with the discipline part in terms of the doing the thing. It's that they're not getting revved up to do the thing. In other words, we got a problem with motivation, not necessarily just discipline. We have a problem with that once in a while you hit it, you do the work. But a lot of times you fall off because you're not emotionally engaged in it. It's like if you want a lot of discipline, you need a high level of emotional connection and focus on that thing that you want to work towards. So every morning, what I want you to do is just start a new visualization practice. When you wake up in the morning, close your eyes, think about the dream, the aspiration, the thing that you're really after in life, and just visualize it and really get yourself emotionally attached, emotionally engaged with it. Think about how great it will feel for you to have that thing, or be that thing, or contribute that thing, to make that difference Just think about it. Allow it to well up in your heart a little bit. Get excited about it. Remember the dream. That's why we get away from discipline, because we're so busy with the chaos of the world that we emotionally are no longer attached in a way that our brain says, hey man, focus on this. It's important to you. Remember? So if your heart is disengaged, it's difficult to stay disciplined. So every morning, make it a practice to actually just imagine the payoff, the benefit, the contribution, the art, the thing that you do and are doing and do contribute. If you can do that more often, you'll be more fired up and you'll stay back on track.
Rule number 2 is stop shaming yourself.
You don't need to shame yourself in self-improvement. What you need to do is be aware and set up a better system. The concepts of self-improvement should inspire you, not shame you. And you're the only person who shames yourself. And the routine that you have of shaming yourself needs to end. If I just keep shaming myself that I haven't written a book in 5 years, what do? Am I more likely to write a book? Or do I need to go, you know what? I need to acknowledge that I can't trust myself with that process because I'm not getting the outcome. Let me set up a better system. Let me set up some habits or some routines, some social situations or obligations that will turn me over. That will help me. How many of you have a purpose, a clear purpose, a mission, an inspiration? You have a future vision. You're so excited about it, and you still don't do crap. See, our world's been conned into thinking, well, if you have a why, you'll do it. I'm like, oh no, trust me. The only people who do that are academics and motivational speakers who write books on it, who've never actually coached and worked with people over a series of years and been responsible for their results. That's why I love coaches, because coaches can't BS stuff, because we actually work with people and we only get paid if we get results, not if we publish a book. I love knowing your why, but pretending that's the problem or the total solution is never the right answer. Lots of people have a very clear why, and they don't do crap. They might have a why and a purpose and a vision, a dream. They don't have self-trust, or they don't trust their team, or they don't trust the people around them. And as soon as that trust is eroded, you can have a compelling dream. You can have vision board after vision board, battle board after battle board, but you don't move. The most important thing, though, is to hear what I'm saying here and not shame yourself.
Rule number 3 is use the 45-day quit rule.
Third big idea, which I love, is my 45-day quit rule. Now, this is one of those things I think I mentioned in the email announcing this. You guys aren't gonna wanna do. There's 2 things on here I know you're not gonna wanna do. This one I forced myself to do. Here's what the 45-day quit rule is. And it's hard for me. I hate this one. I look at all my big project ideas. I don't know about you, but I have a journal with all my big ideas in it, or I have my vision board, or I have an Excel spreadsheet of all these different ideas and projects I want to do. And I've got right, as an example right now, I know my next 6 books I'm going to write. I know them. I know my next 3 campaigns I'm going to launch. I know them. But here's what I have to force myself to do, and I don't like it. I say, okay, if this is a major project that I want to do, even if it could lead to significant growth, if I'm not going to start it, listen to this, if I'm not going to start it in the next 45 days, it's off my plate until next year. I just get real. I go, okay. And I'm like, okay, well, if I'm not gonna start on this thing by the early fall, I'm not gonna do it. And I literally just take it from my journal, my little bucket of things I wanna do this year, and I put it out, and I feel so mentally relieved. A lot of people have a lot of anxiety about the number of projects they have on their plate that they really wanna do. And so what ends up happening is that anxiety leads to a lot of procrastination. That anxiety leads to a lot of poor prioritization because there's so much to do. They're like, oh my God, there's so much to do here, so I won't do any of it. Ever had that? Have you ever found yourself in front of Netflix going, oh my God, I have so much to do, but I just watched the 4th video in the 3rd season. Has that ever happened? You have so much to do, and that's the problem. You have so much to do that you haven't prioritized what you are going to do, so you don't do anything. So what I do is this time of year, I look at all those things that are on my plate and I get honest. Which ones am I gonna start in the next 45 days? And if I'm not gonna start in the next 45 days, now it's not even on my mental concern. It's not even on my dashboard. No anxiety there. No, oh my God, I still gotta get that one in. Nope, it's gone.
Rule number 4 is master your calendar.
Subtract, simplify, systemize. I'm sure you've heard this type of concept before. It's going through your calendar and removing things. To become more time efficient and enjoy your life, you need to remove some things. Like subtracting for me, as an example, I got rid of networking events and that weren't learning events. You know, things are just like, hey, let's all gather and network around cocktails. I was like, that's done. I ended that in my 20s. I was like, that was taking so much of my time in my 20s. And it was cool because, yeah, I'd meet some people, but it wasn't moving me forward towards my goals. I love meeting people, but then I found out the best place to network is actually at personal development type conferences or business type conferences, places where it's like intentional based learning, because I want to get around learners because learners are achievers. And so it's like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of all those random meetups that just make me tired and drain me from energy. I'm gonna get in learning environments where I'm amplified. So I subtracted those types. What are you subtracting? Some of you are subtracting drama. I love it. Netflix. I love it. Social media. I love it. Some of you are subtracting. This is so good, by the way. I love a lot. Excessive office trainings or meetings. This is super good. What else? More social plans. Yep, good. I think that's so important. You know, putting limits on lots of different structures. You got to know what you need to subtract. It's really important. The other thing is to simplify. There aren't that many things you need to be doing. You feel like there are, but probably only 3 or 5 of them actually move the needle. And as soon as you identify those, in high performance habits, it's called prolific quality output. And so we're always looking like, what is the things that we need to do? And there's probably only a couple of them that actually move the needle the most. Pay attention to those. Simplify, simplify, simplify. I always tell people too, you want better time management, simplify all the things you want of life. You know, like this setup is so simple for me to run. There's a light here, a camera there. My laptop is here. You can actually see. There it is. Okay. And a microphone. That's it. I used to have all this fancy rigging and lighting stuff. Nope. Now it's one box right there. Good to go. Right. My podcast station right over there. One mic on it. Simplified. Everything off the desk. Right over here where I work. Simplified. Everything off the desk. Just simplify your life. I promise you'll be happy about it. And then systemize. Systemize means what do you do on a consistent basis that either a tool online can do or a person can do. And it's about systemizing, like writing down the rules, writing down the process, handing that off, delegating that or automating that with your system changes everything. Just like maybe you're doing marketing and you go, oh, instead of me doing all this outbound all the time, I'm going to automate that process. When they come in, the actions are triggered with the emails and the messages afterwards. That prevents you from having to do all the outbound yourself all the time, right? It's like you have to go, what's the goal? Well, the goal is to get more clients. Okay, my goal is to get more clients, but I don't have the time to talk to everybody. How can I systemize that? Build an online funnel or some other type of attraction campaign that allows me not to have to be doing all that all the time. And most of my life is just run on systems. It just happens. It just runs. It's just a routine and rhythm. And that happened when I was broke. That happened when I got more successful. You just get better and better at it.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Rule number 5 is find your drive.
And let's bring it back. Let's connect our breathing to our body, to our mind, to our energy. To our energy of determination. That's right. We determine. We don't choose and lose, give up, believe lies, give in to fear. We don't do that. We don't give in to anxiety, stress, things that are not the truth of who we are. The way you did your best today, whatever exercises, stretches you chose to do, it's the same process you get to use here, now, and wherever you go. In the gym of life, you get to grow your mind. You get to grow your mind health and your mind wealth. It's all possible if you determine, make the winning choice to be kind, to be peaceful, caring, loving, appreciative, grateful for everything you have here and now. I'm so grateful for my breath right now. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for our being, what we all truly are. I'm proud of my effort today, and I hope you are proud of yours. Because that effort, that process, that determination you use, it's available to you all the time. It's your greatest gift. So don't ever give up on using your determination to be your true, kind, positive, loving self. To control your own mind, no matter what is going on outside of it. You are infinitely intelligent, powerful beyond measure, and you get to work now more than ever. Your own mind, your own body, your own energy. Making yourself better now so that you can be better forever.
Bye.